Hi guys, to follow up on the last video, we just created a VRF, or otherwise known as context in the ACI world. So now what we're going to do is we are going to set up an associated bridge domain. So let's go. Now, as you can see, here was our last call to create our VRF. We are going to make it simple, and let's just duplicate this quickly. Let's copy and paste here, and we're going to call this rename bridge domain. If you want to look how this was structured in the previous video, there is steps where we wrote from the tenant creation page, where we wrote it out line by line. This is just speeding up the code for us a bit. So the first thing I want to do for this template that I've been created now is I want to take out the payload, because the payload is going to be different. And for now, I will leave the path because I'm not sure yet where it's going to go. It might be exactly the same. The other thing is I will not have a tenant name, a tenant alias, and a tenant description. Those I will not have. Then this is going to be a bridge domain, so BD. Also, when we call this, it's going to be BD. And let's just save it for now, and we go and look at APIC Online. So as you see, here is where we last created our VRF. Now we need to create our associated bridge domain. So let's go grab our inspector and clear. Create new bridge domain. Sometimes this is a little slow. Okay, so we are calling it py for all our objects, bridge domain. This is going to be the alias. This is going to be the description. Now here is where we would select our VRF. PYVRF. That is the most important part about this. So let's go next. Hard flooding depends on what you want to use on your network, but I will use it for the sake of this exercise, because in a lot of networks, people still prefer to have hard flooding on. And now this is where the other interesting part is. Now in the previous video, when we did our VRF creation, you could turn IP data plane learning on a global scale, right? Or turn it off on a global scale. Having it on a global scale gives you much more granularity, and it's closer to what Cisco recommendations is. Whereas, although we are going to keep this on, if you wanted to turn it off for a specific bridge domain, this is where you do it. You don't do it on the entire VRF. So that gets kept the same. Everything else here so far looks the same. We're not going to attach anything like that right now. I am on the other screen just clearing the API inspector. So let me finish. And there the new post just came through. Okay, so this is our post. Copy. Can go back here. This is where we created our bridge domain, VRF. So let's just go and this is the bridge domain. Copy the payload. And we're going to follow the same procedure. This is literally repetition, so you guys can get used to doing this on your own. Go back to your JSON editor, copy and paste your code in, make it more readable, copy and paste the output so that you can work with it easier in the code editor. As you see, we have a bridge domain. For the sake of this video, I will go and delete it before I create it with the code editor. Okay, so here let's paste in our payload. Let's move it along a little bit so it just looks a bit better. Okay, next thing, let's go and look at our path node. Copy. Now let's verify that our path is similar. So node, mo, uni, tn. Oh, it's different. Okay. In the previous time when we just created our VRF, it was similar to the tenant, but now it's gotten an extra extension on. So we are going to copy and paste this just to make sure we're getting everything. I'm going to put it in here. So we know that we are going to be speaking to the tenant, which is tenant name, according to that one. And then here we have a bridge domain, so P by BD, which is going to be P by BD is equal to, let's just call it bridge BD because it's actually going to get confusing. Okay, so I have not created the variable BD yet, so let's create the bridge domain. Copy. That will be associated with that bridge domain. Now let's look further. What else are we talking to? We are talking to Python tenant name, and bridge domain again. So I will go and edit this section of the string. Python tenant, and this is the bridge domain. Bridge domain again. Here we will just do a format for bridge domain to bridge dom. Where else? Here we've got the same one. So let's just go and copy that there. Okay, arc flooding. That is a true or false Boolean. Now, you have to be careful with Booleans because in some other languages, the Boolean's first character in the language is capital. In Python, I think it is. It's lowercase, but either way, we see that inside the JSON object, it is expected to be in a lowercase. So we will handle this explicitly. Okay, we will get to that now. Let's just go and pick up our. So we now definitely have an alias and a description here. Also, here I just want to modify it. It's good practice. Here we've got another. This is the VRF. So now we know for a fact that not only are we going to have a new bridge domain, we have a VRF name here. So let's go and VRF name dot format VRF. That one. VRF name equals VRF name. Okay, that one's created, modified. This one's already created, modified. Let's create a BD description. This is going to be a BD alias. BD alias to BD alias. Dot format BD description to BD description. Now all I have to make sure is that variable is going to come in here. And this one can also come in here. MAC address you can take out completely. We're not going to associate the MAC address that was auto assigned. It's not required. Okay. Now we can go and get all of our variables and make sure that when we do the call, we've got all the required information. So we still need this one. Okay, so this is our flat. The format of flat will be equal to our flat. Copy. Our flat. Now this should be dot lower to, this is just taking the variable, the text that's coming in, and putting it to lowercase. So regardless of the input, it should always go to lowercase. Okay, that should be all fine. Let's go back down here. We have new variables to work with in this one, so we don't have a tenant alias, we don't have a tenant description. We have a tenant name, we have a VRF, a bridge domain. Oh, we're missing our blood. Okay, so let's just put those in. Okay, so our VRF name was something very specific. I will go back to my VRF and verify what the name was by VRF. Copy that from the previous input, put it in here. Bridge domain was going to be PYBD. Let's just make sure everything's going to be text. This is going to be true. Now putting this capital in just to verify that my dot lower over here is actually going to work. Okay, so PYBD underscore alias description. Okay, so we are using URL here. Username, password, tenant name, will be tenant name. VRF seems to be both in capitals. And from there onwards, we did a copy and paste. So that should all be good. Now we save that. We will go back to APIC. This is where this is. We will delete this object. Custom MAC address is not going to be folding. It's not a requirement. Go back to our code, run this, and let's see if we have any errors. Okay, unexpected indent on line 2. Let's just verify where this is. Something went wrong. Then aware, I reran it without changing anything, and it ran through. I got the 200. I will now go back to the APIC, and there is my BD that we just created. As you see, there's an auto-generated custom MAC address. That's why I leave it out. I don't want to statically manage fictitious MAC addresses that get auto-assigned. Okay, so just to verify, we now have a tenant, we've got a BRF, or otherwise known as context, and we've got a bridge domain. Next, we will create an application profile, and after that, we will create an EPG to associate with this. Thanks, guys. If you like the content, please subscribe and ring the bell, and let's take the ACI journey together.